least it didn't take me that long to remember this time. How's it going, everybody? I hope you are all doing well. This is week 6. Man, that's like almost 2 months. Week 6 of LBT Students online. I've got the video pulled up here so I can chat with you guys and see what's going on if I need to chat with you, which is cool. But anyways, welcome to LBT Students Live. If you're joining us for the first time, maybe you're joining us for the 6th time. You've been here every week. Man, I encourage you, just share this video. Tag somebody in the comments. Make sure that they can join us for tonight. We're going to have some fun. We're going to have some giveaways. We're going to play 2 games like normal tonight. But the prizes this week are going to be, we're going to have pizza delivered to your house on the day of your choosing, from the restaurant of your choosing, and for you and your immediate family. That's what we're going to do. We're going to deliver pizza to your house for you and your immediate family. So that's what's on the stake for the games tonight. I talked to a guy in Michigan today and named Clayton Bolzer. Many of you guys know him. There is a potential that we reschedule camp towards the end of July, 1st of August. I'll know more about that in the next couple weeks. With Governor DeWine, things are going to start hopefully opening back up and getting back to normal. We're looking at possibly getting back into the church sometime in June. But we may not have Wednesday night activities throughout the summer. So just be aware that things are going to change. Things are going to be different as we progress into, as we get closer and closer to next school year. So we are excited that you're joining us tonight, like I said. And we're going to get started with our first game. And our first game is called Famous Rivals. Famous Rivals. Hey, Aaron, take that ball off of there. It'll cause it to heat up. And then if you can bring me one of those papers on the desk, I forgot to bring it. All right, so Famous Rivals. Famous Rivals. So what's going to happen is we're going to put some information up on the screen. It's going to be multiple choice. You're going to try to guess which answer is correct. These are some famous rivals. Such an example would be like Michigan and Ohio State will be a good example of a famous rival. So we're going to get started with our first one right here, Famous Rivals on the screen. What cola company launched the blind taste test against its rival? A blind taste test against its rival. Dr. Pepper, Pepsi, Coke. You guys know I love Dr. Pepper. Jamie Delgado, if you're watching right now, there is a 2-liter of Dr. Pepper back there on the tech booth waiting for me as soon as we're done here so that I'll have it for our Zoom group tonight. Yeah. He messes with me all the time about drinking Dr. Pepper. But I love it. It's good stuff. Keeps me going. I should cut back some, but it's all right. So which one? Which one is the company that launched the blind taste test against its rival? We're going to announce the winner of the games tonight at the end. Like I said, the prizes are going to be, we're going to deliver pizza to your house from whatever restaurant on any day that you want. So let's find out. I think it's Pepsi. Pepsi is correct. Pepsi is correct. Looks like Travis, Kaylee, Caitlin, and Jacob all got that one. Good job, guys. Good job. All right, next one. Baseball rivals, New York Yankees and Boston Red Sox have how many combined World Series championships? How many combined World Series championships? I have really never watched much baseball. I did play baseball. I played baseball, t-ball, all the way through coach pitch, and even into high school I played baseball. I enjoyed playing. I wasn't very good, but, Baseball's fun. You don't have to be good. You can just have fun. I spent a lot of time on the bench eating sunflower seeds. That's right. I love sunflower seeds. And so I spent a lot of time on the bench eating sunflower seeds. Looks like Jeremy got that last one right too. I was pulling up the Facebook so I can view Facebook and YouTube all at the same time. That's cool. All right, let's find out the winner here. 35. Jacob got that one. Katrina got that one. Good job. Sam Wright. Wow, Sam, good job on that one. And Cameron Staley all got that one right. Next one. James Bond has his fair share of rivals, but how many actors have played James Bond? How many actors have played James Bond? James Bond. I don't know this one. This will be for you movie buffs, but it's multiple choice, so you have a 1 in 3 chance of getting this right. 1 in 3 chance of getting it right. All right, Gary, let's find out. The correct answer is 7. So Kaylee, Travis, and Caitlin all got that one right. Good job, guys. Good job. All right, next one. Batman's rival, the Joker, one of his rivals, we know he has a lot more, first appeared in comics in what year? I wonder if Gary knows this one. He's kind of a comic kind of guy. He's looking at the answer on the screen, but I wonder if he knew it already. I didn't even know that Batman comics existed even as late as 1940. So, I don't know. 1920, 1930? Did comic books exist in 1920? Wonder when comic books first started. What was the first comic book ever? All right, let's find out. 1940 is correct. Hewitt got that one right. Cassie got it right. Kaylee did. Ilana did. Travis did. Katrina, Jacob, and Caitlin. Good job, or no, not Caitlin. Caitlin said 1920. Sorry about that, Caitlin. Good job, everybody. Next. The Aaron Burr and Alexander Hamilton duel was fought in what state on July 11th, 1804? The famous political duel of July 11th, 1804. Was it New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, or New Jersey? Katrina says New Jersey. Travis says New Jersey. Jed Green is watching. Hi, Jed. Hewitt says Pennsylvania. Tanner says Pennsylvania. All right, here we go. Find the answer. New Jersey. New Jersey is the answer. Katrina, Travis, Caitlin, Kaylee, Jacob. That's it. All right, next one. The rivalry between Ohio State and Michigan dates back to an actual war over what? An actual war over what? A football game, high taxes, or the state border? That's a good question. That's a big rivalry, too. Between Ohio State and Michigan dates back to an actual war over what? A football game, high taxes, or the border? Let's find out the answer, Gary. The border. The border is correct. So Travis, Ilana, Kaylee, and Katrina, good job. All right, next one. Who was Rocky Balboa's Stars and Stripes shorts-wearing rival? Clubber Lang, Apollo Creed, or Ivan Drago? Which one of Rocky Balboa's rivalries wore the Stars and Stripes shorts? I know this one. And answer. Apollo Creed. Caitlin got that one right. Katrina got it wrong. All right. Cool. I forget that there's like a 5-second delay between me being live and what they're seeing on the screen. So when I look over to see who is answering these, there's a little delay. All right, Will Wheaton. Will Wheaton, Gary, this is our man, became Sheldon Cooper's rival when Will didn't blank. Sign an autograph, show up at a Star Trek convention, or follow him on Twitter. Gary, would you have known that answer without seeing it? Yes, I'm sure you would. Will Wheaton, most of you probably have no idea who Will Wheaton is. Most of y'all know who Sheldon Cooper is, but Will Wheaton became Sheldon Cooper's rival when Will didn't, and the answer to that is show up at a Star Trek convention. There's a typo there. I didn't notice. That threw me off. Show up at a Star Trek convention. Next one. Long-standing rivals Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner have appeared in how many cartoons? How many cartoons? How many cartoons? Right? Everyone's... Don't be Googling and cheating. That's no fun, man. Bunch of cheaters. All right, let's find out. 48. 48 is the correct answer. So far, no one has got that right. Cassie Billings got it right. Good job, Cassie. Everyone else said 72. All right, next one. The real-life deadly rivalry between two families lasted over a decade. Between what two families lasted over a decade? The Murphys and the Jacksons, the Hatfields and the McCoys, or the Smiths and the Joneses? The Smiths and the Joneses. I know this one. I'm a big Western fan, so I know this one. The answer is the Hatfields and the McCoys. The Hatfields and the McCoys. Caitlin, the Hatfloss and the McCoys. Oh, that's good. All right. I love watching these comments come in. I love seeing how you guys are interacting on here. I don't usually do this. Usually I go back and I'm just letting those guys do it or letting everyone else do it. So this is cool to be able to watch these comments come in as you guys are watching us. All right. Like I said, Rachel is going to be tallying up who the winner is. She'll text me later tonight. At the end of the night, I'll announce the winners. And then the winners, we're going to DM you, and we're going to ask, when do you want your pizza? Where do you want it from? And how many people? So stay tuned tonight for that. All right, next game is Who's My Neighbor? Who's My Neighbor? And how this game works is we're going to show you a celebrity on the screen, and then you're going to try to guess who is that celebrity's neighbor. This is not multiple choice, so you have to come up with it off the top of your head. You will have to know this one. It's called Who's My Neighbor? Can you guess the neighbor of the TV show character? All right, here we go. First one. Carl Winslow. Carl Winslow. Who is Carl Winslow's neighbor? Who is Carl Winslow's neighbor? Show us the next one. All right, so this is what he looks like. Who is behind the blurry curtain? Who is behind the blurry curtain? Show us the next one. Oh, it's got it a little clearer. Have you figured it out yet? Who is Mr. Winslow's neighbor? It's not Mr. Rogers, I'll tell you that much. Next one. Uh-oh. Can you tell who it is? Can you tell who it is? The answer is Steve Urkel from Family Matters. Steve Urkel. Yeah, I could see some of you guys just dressing up like this. Gary's nickname in high school was Steve Urkel. Okay, I kind of get that. Did you wear suspenders and a vest and all that, or just because of the glasses? Okay. All right, next one. The Tanner family. The Tanner family. Who is their neighbor? Next. All right, here's a blurred one of it. All right, next one. It's getting a little clearer. Can you tell who it is? All right. Here we go. Kimmy Gibbler. The Gibbler. Kimmy Gibbler. She was like a lunatic, man. She was one weird character in Full House. Definitely. Good job, Ilana and Katrina and Kaylee and Tanner, Caitlin, Travis, Jacob, Hewitt, Ethan. Good job, everybody. All right, next one. SpongeBob. Who's my neighbor? Who is SpongeBob's neighbor? His next door neighbor. Squidward. Squidward. Not Patrick Star. Patrick Star was 2 houses down. Squidward was SpongeBob's neighbor. Good job, Kaylee, Travis, Tanner, Cameron. All right, next one. Fred Flintstone. Hey, I dressed up as Fred for a clue. How cool is that? Do we have a good look-alike? Should have worn my outfit tonight. Who is Fred Flintstone's neighbor? That's right, Barney Rubble. Barney Rubble, otherwise known as Kenton Gibson. Oh, man. We all dressed up together, the Gibson family and our family, to be the Flintstones and the Rubbles this last Halloween. It was fun. Archie Andrews. I have no idea who that is. Never heard of it. Any of you guys know who Archie Andrews is? I no idea. So who's Archie's neighbor? A black blob. No idea. Does anyone actually know even who this guy is? Because I don't. Betty Cooper from Riverdale. That would be why I don't know what it is, because I've never watched Riverdale. Good job to Tanner. Tanner got that one. She must be one of the only people who watch Riverdale. The Simpsons. Hopefully none of you guys watch this. I did not watch this growing up. The Simpsons. Ned Flanders, whoever that guy is. I don't know. He looks like the guy from Breaking Bad. That actor, I forget his name. But Sheldon and Leonard. Sheldon and Leonard. Who is Sheldon and Leonard's neighbor? If you've ever watched Big Bang Theory, you should know this immediately. It's like so easy. So go ahead and show us, Gary. Penny. Penny from the Big Bang Theory. Next one. Jerry Seinfeld. Jerry Seinfeld. Who is Jerry Seinfeld's neighbor? I've watched a few episodes of Seinfeld, never very much of it, but okay, there's some form coming out of the blurriness. Kramer, whoever that guy is. Kramer. I'm surprised you knew that, Tanner and Travis. You must be watching Seinfeld at some point in your life. Corey Matthews. Corey Matthews. I know exactly who his neighbor is. Happens to be his principal at school. Well, no, not principal. Teacher at school as well. Mr. Feeney. Mr. Feeney. No, it's not Sean Hunter, Caitlin. Good try. Or Topanga. Topanga was his girlfriend. Mr. Feeney. Tim the Tool Man Taylor, otherwise known as Tim Allen, one of my personal favorite actors. He's also from the Detroit area, and he's like one of like the perfect manly men actors out there. And everyone should know who his neighbor is. We've never seen his face, but his name is Mr. Wilson. Wilson. That completes Who's My Neighbor. Rachel's going to tally up who the winner of that game is, and then we'll have pizza delivered to your house whenever you want, any day of the week. Pick a day, pick a time, and we'll have it delivered to your house. All right. Let's see who got that. Travis got that. Caitlin got it. Cassie got it. Good job, everybody. Cameron got it. Hewitt got it, otherwise known as Sam Wright Jr. So good job, everybody. All right, we're gonna switch gears here, and Cool Carl is back, and he's got a little something different for you going on here tonight. So Gary, go ahead and hit us with some Cool Carl.
This week on Real Life Quarantine.
So life in quarantine, it's been pretty chill. I mean, we're hanging out, we're playing games, reading, and just bonding all around.
What?
So we don't have a lot of rules in this house, but the one rule I do have, no one touches my chicken nuggets. And today, someone broke that rule. Family meeting, now!
Now, I don't know a lot, but what I do know is when Carl calls a family meeting, someone's usually in trouble.
Here we go. All right, y'all. I don't demand much. I let you stay here. I let you play my games. I even let you use my hallway as a slip and slide. It was dope.
It was pretty dope.
But someone just crossed the line.
Wow, I guess you could say things are heating up in the kitchen.
Someone just ate my chicken nuggets.
So what?
Shots fired.
So what? That's my one rule, Brock.
Well, it's a stupid rule.
Stupid?
Are you kidding me?
Also, there's more food in the fridge, man. The only thing in there besides my chicken nuggets is vegetables.
Carl hates vegetables.
I hate vegetables, and Brock knows that.
Good. You could stand to eat a few more veggies.
What did you say?
All I'm saying is that maybe you should take a break from eating 100 chicken nuggets a day and maybe eat a vegetable.
I'm pretty fuming right now, but I know I gotta be slow to anger and take the higher road. Be the better person. I'm not a rabbit, bro! I don't eat vegetables! I don't eat Chick-fil-A chicken nuggets!
Dude?
That's it!
What?
Okay, first of all, bruh, don't cornstalk me. Dose of all, if you're hungry, go buy some more chicken nuggets. I would love to, Brock, but it's Sunday and they're closed. I bought these extra to eat today.
You go to Mickey D's. It's all the same, dude.
What did you say?
I said go to Mickey D's. It's basically the same as Chick-fil-A, if not better.
The fact that Brock just said that, it scares me.
I'll kill you! I'll kill you, Brock! You know I love Chick-fil-A chicken nuggets! Yo, bro,
Oh, Sausage! What's up with all this quarantine Carl?
Next week on Real Life Quarantine.
So I decided to kick Austin out of the house.
This house is a nightmare, dude! Didn't even like it anyway, bro.
Bye-bye, Austin. Guess who just became the best-looking guy in the house?
To be honest, I'm glad Austin's gone. I called dibs on his Xbox.
I'm done. I'm out of here, bro. I can't get enough.
Not believe someone would try to say that McDonald's chicken nuggets are as good as Chick-fil-A. Who in their right mind would ever think that? I know you agree with me, Noah, if you're out there watching. That would be just ridiculous to say. Trying to pull up my thing. There it is. All right. So last week we had Jonathan and Anna and Tanner share with us what is a student's response to COVID-19. This week, we're going to shift gears here a little bit. We're going to go back to our typical lesson format. I do have something planned for the future Wednesday that I will let you know ahead of time to be ready for. It will require you to go shopping. It will also require you to be outside. And that's as many hints as I'm going to give you at this time, because I got to find a Wednesday that it will work. So in other words, a Wednesday that it's not going to rain. We're going to do it tonight, but it was supposed to rain and was raining earlier, so we're going to do something different. All right, so tonight I want to talk to you about loving your neighbor. Love your neighbor. Recently, I've got a lot of neighbor stories, actually. Our neighbor so if you're looking at my house, the neighbor to the left, Marge, and I forget the husband's name. Rachel could probably put it in the comments because she probably remembers, because she's better with names. The husband there, gave a toy actually to Wesley and Waylon when we first got them. Another story about neighbors is I actually cut down some of my neighbors' trees and helped them cut them all up and do away with them out of the goodness of my heart. There was, less trees means less leaves when it comes fall. So there was a little bit of win in there for me too. But the trees were ultimately his, and they were pretty big trees. But I helped him cut them down and get rid of them. And then recently, as in 2 days ago, my neighbor across the street, what is her name? Oh, this is not good. This is not good. Oh, I forgot her name. I don't remember her name. I guarantee you Rachel could. But I cannot remember. Anyways, the neighbor across the street actually gave us a riding lawnmower. She said, "Hey, I bought this mower from the previous people that lived in your house. I don't need it anymore. My son has a nice John Deere, and he doesn't want to use this Toro. And right now, all I know is it smokes some and it needs a battery." And so she gave it to us for free because she didn't feel right to sell it to anybody. So that was cool to be able to get a gift like that from your neighbor across the street. You would think with that extravagant of a gift, I would be able to remember her name, but I can't remember her name. Sarah just came to me. Her name is Sarah. So I have Sarah across the street. If you're looking at my house, Sarah is behind you. I have Gabe and his family over to the right. I have Marge and her family over to the left. I have Brad and Carrie. What is her last name? Man, this is terrible, y'all. I had all these remembered for when I got up here, but I can't remember now. Anyways, I live in a great neighborhood, and I have some great neighbors. And so I want to ask you, what is the greatest commandment in the Bible? If you've grown up in church, or if you've been around church at all, if you've read the Bible at all, which most of you have, what is the greatest commandment? I want you to think about that. What is the greatest commandment? What is the greatest commandment? Jesus says that all of the law and the prophets are summed up in this. That's all of the law and all the prophets. That's a big part of the Bible. Jesus says, sums up in this. He answered, love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength, and with all your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself. One of the most famous places this is talked about in the New Testament is in Luke chapter 10. It's what is commonly referred to as the parable of the Good Samaritan. Many people know the story, but they often don't know how the story is set up. And the story of the Good Samaritan is set up by a teacher of the law, looking at Jesus and asking him, what must I do to inherit eternal life? Jesus responds to this question with a question, which is kind of Jesus' thing. And he says, you know the law, how do you read it? To which the religious teacher responds with that verse, love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength, and with all your mind. And love your neighbor as yourself. Then the scripture says that he wanted to justify himself. In Luke 10:29, it says he wanted to justify himself. So he asked Jesus, and who is my neighbor? So who is my neighbor? Who would you consider my neighbor? And then that's when Jesus launches into the parable of the Good Samaritan. And so let's read that parable in Luke chapter 10, verses 30 through 37. In reply, Jesus said, a man was going down from Jerusalem to Jericho when he was attacked by robbers. They stripped him of his clothes, beat him, and went away, leaving him half dead. A priest happened to be going down the same road, and when he saw the man, he passed by on the other side. So too, a Levite, when he came to the place and saw him, passed by on the other side. But a Samaritan, as he traveled, came where the man was, and when he saw him, he took pity on him. He went to him and bandaged his wounds, pouring on oil and wine, and then he put the man on his own donkey, brought him to an inn, and took care of him. The next day he took out 2 denarii, which, by the way, a denarii is like a week's worth of pay, and gave them to the innkeeper. Look after him, he said, and when I return, I will reimburse you for any extra expense you may have. Which of these 3 do you think was a neighbor to the man who fell into the hands of the robbers? The expert in the law said, the one who had mercy on him. Jesus told him, go and do likewise. So Jesus takes the definition of a neighbor in this moment and he stretches it to include enemies. During this time, the Samaritan, as most of you guys probably know because most of you have grown up in church, the Samaritans were considered unclean. They were enemies of the Jews, and they were just considered not worthy to be with Jews or around Jews or to be in any kind of friendship with them or anything. They were just considered unclean and unworthy. But Jesus takes this opportunity to broaden and stretch out what the definition of a neighbor is to include enemies. And so I want to say to you guys that that's a good idea, but I would say that's like the graduate level. That's like the high master's level of what it means to love your neighbor, to love your enemy, right? We can all understand that. We can all comprehend what Jesus is saying here in loving our neighbor is loving your enemy. We get that. Now, most of us don't happen to do that very often, but we understand it. We grasp the concept. But what I want to do is I want to pull us back to not the master's or graduate level, but to like kindergarten level. And I want you to think about this. A neighbor, the definition of a neighbor is anybody you come across who is in need is your neighbor. Let me say that again and put it on the screen. Jesus was saying anybody you come across who's in need is your neighbor. I think a lot of times we forget to care for our actual neighbors, for the people who live around us, the people who literally are our next door neighbors, the ones who surround our actual home. You know, for me, a lot of, and I kind of failed. I was trying to remember names. I've met most of my neighbors, but I can't remember all of their names at the moment, which is going to play right into the lesson. But, do you know your actual neighbors? Because I think a lot of time we forget to actually care about them. As a pastor, it's really easy for me to drive to the church, meet with individuals, care for them, minister to them, but I'm forgetting my own neighbors, the very people who live around me and in my neighborhood. And so I want to do an activity with you guys. And I want you to get out a piece of paper, and I want you to draw a large tic-tac-toe board, and this is called a block map. Now I want you to put your name and address in the middle of the board. Now the squares, go ahead with the video. I want you to put your name and address in the middle, and the squares around are the homes that surround your home. So the people who live across the street, beside you, catty corner. Now I want you to write the names of those people into those squares. I want you to write the names, write your address and your name right here. Make a tic-tac-toe board. I want you to write the names of your neighbors in the surrounding squares. And I want you to also write down anything that you can remember or think about them. And when I say names, I mean actual names. I don't mean the weird cat lady. I don't mean the underwear man who always checks his mail in his underwear, okay? I want you to put their actual real name. Go ahead and do that. Now, I know some of you, just like the teacher of the law did in the story of the Good Samaritan, try to justify yourself and say, well, that's not my neighborhood. That's not what my neighborhood looks like. I'm in an apartment, or I have a field behind me, or my grandparents live next to me. Listen, don't be a legalist. Just the 8 closest neighbors to you, what are their names? Write those down. For me, it was, so a block in town is like kind of small, and there's a bunch of houses on it. For me, I grew up out in the country, and I'm going back to, when I was growing up, when I was your age. And so here's my house. And right here was Danny Morgan. Danny Morgan had a pond that we would go fishing at, and I've also shot some ducks off of his pond. He was your typical bachelor guy who lived alone. He had a kid, but they were divorced, and so he lived alone up here. He had a chicken house. Let's see, who else? And then we have my great-grandparents on my stepdad's side of the family. They lived right here. And then eventually, their niece and nephew moved in when they died. Over here was the Chamberlains. They were a family of people. They had kids. Our bus route went through this neighborhood, so I knew them well. I went to school with them. There was Kevin. There was Katie, Mariah. Dylan. Dylan was the boy's name. And then, their house was a dirt floor. They had a lot of pit bull dogs. Over here was, I don't know. This has been a long time, guys. It's been a long time since I was in my neighborhood. I'm not sure who was here. I got these 3. Okay, over here was, this was Mrs. Silcox. Mrs. Silcox. I think her first name was Verna, maybe. But she worked at our school as like a granny lady who helps in classes. And I actually gathered and split wood for her during the fall time to prepare her for winter because she heated with a wood fireplace. And this was kind of our block right here. But it was like half a mile between every house. And then it would go around. And over here was Vernie Chamberlain. He was his dad, and he had a farm and all kinds of stuff. And then over here is really hard because there were no houses behind us for like 15, not 15, like 5 miles. There were no house. It was all woods and fields, and I would have to think really, really hard to try to figure out who these people were. Now, my parents, there are some houses back here, but I don't live there now, and so I don't know who those people are because it's happened now that I'm away from home. But I want to, can you do that? Can you sit here, for me, if this is my house right now where I live, okay, we have Brad and Carrie, I forget their last name, I have Sarah, I think his name's Frank or Randy, I can't remember. I have Gabe, I have Margie and her husband, and then I have Kyle. Kyle just moved in, actually. Met him a while back. Yeah. So that's kind of how much I can remember. It makes you really, understand, how neglectful you have been to your very neighborhood, to the very people who live around you. Jesus says that the greatest commandment is to love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind, and to love your neighbor as yourself. And we can justify our neighbor being people that don't live around us. We can do that because a neighbor is anybody who has need. We can justify that. But the reality is Jesus calls us to love our neighbor. And I think a lot of times we forget about the very neighbors that live around us. If you're anything like me and most other people, you can't name even half of the neighbors that live around you. So maybe loving your neighbor means knowing and retaining their name. Maybe that's the starting point of having a relationship or of ministry to them, of loving your neighbor as yourself. Maybe the starting point is just simply knowing and retaining their name. When you know someone's name, it's a starting point of loving someone, right? Doesn't it make you feel good inside and feel loved when someone that you met somewhere else remembers your name? That's why I tell our volunteers in here, man, remember all these students' names. And sometimes I can't, but it's so important to remember and retain and use names. Instead of coming up to somebody and saying, hey, bro, what's up? How you doing? You can say, hey, Brad, how's this going in your life? How's the project in the backyard going? How are your kids doing with the COVID-19? Are they doing well in school? When you know somebody's name, there's a deeper love there for your neighbor. And so I want to encourage you in this opportunity of being at home. You're literally at home doing nothing majority of the time. You have a lot of extra time on your hand. I want to encourage you, man, learn who your neighbors are. If you don't know their names, if you don't know anything about them, learn that. And then when you find out their name, write it down so you can remember. And don't be like me and talk to them and get their name and then forget it, because that doesn't do any good. Learn, retain, and know their name, because it shows that you love them and care about them. And I think that, this is a great time to do that. Maybe that's not, still keep with social distancing, keep with, the stay-at-home order for the most part. But if there's an opportunity, get to know your neighbors. Maybe it's knocking on the door and backing away from the door and having a conversation with them from 10 feet away on the front of their porch or whatever. I don't know. I encourage you, though, take this opportunity to learn who your neighbors are, get to know their name, and minister to them. Because I think knowing their name is a starting point to other things. It's a starting point to being able to minister to them in other ways. Like I told you, Miss Silcox, I cut wood for her and split wood for her so that she could heat during the winter time. There was other individuals that I did things for. I did things for my great-grandparents. I did stuff for my actual family. I did stuff, the Chamberlains. I tried to minister to them on the school bus in my own juvenile way, but I tried. I wasn't good, but I tried. Man, I encourage you, man, look for opportunities to serve your literal neighbors, because it's such a grand idea to think about, hey, let's do an outreach and let's go to the church and give away eggs or give away food, like we've been doing as a church. and that's great, and I'm not dissing that, but there's something different about ministering to your neighborhood and knowing their names and knowing where they're at and how you can minister to them specifically in a certain way. And so I encourage you, take it a step farther than just knowing their name. Look for a way to minister to them, to serve them, and let them know that they are loved and they are not forgotten during this COVID-19 pandemic. That's my encouragement to you. Real quick, the winners for the games tonight. So if I say your name, let us know what kind of pizza you want, what night of the week do you want it, and where do you want it from. So the winner of the games is, let's find out. The winners of the games is Kaylee, won the first game, Kaylee Gibson. And then the second one is Tanner Zwiebel. Good job, girls. Kaylee and Tanner are our winners. Make sure you DM us. Where do you want your pizza? What time? Where from? What night of the week? And how many people in your family, your immediate family? And we're going to send you some pizza when you want that. And then don't forget our Sunday night all-group Zoom Hangouts, 8:30 p.m. on Sunday nights. Make sure you're watching our social media for different announcements coming up. Obviously, we're not having Senior Sunday this Sunday. Cassie, sorry. Hopefully, we can do something special for you in the future. And then, like I said, we're looking at rescheduling camp towards the end of July, 1st of August, if that's possible. And then some of the South Lawn will be coming up in August. And then I don't know what we're doing yet as far as the student ministry for the summer. I'm waiting a couple more weeks to find out what we're going to be doing specifically for the student ministry for the summer. Whether we'll be online still, whether we're going to do a family ministry night for the church online, or what that's going to look like. So I'll let you guys know as soon as we make a decision, and I know, and looking forward. I hope you guys are doing well. I love you guys, and Gary's going to put up the Zoom group IDs on here, and join us over there on Zoom.